Can you see us? Yes.
I certainly can.
Right.
Okay. Good morning. Um, in this parsha we have Makkas Choshech, and their midrashim would say that Bnei Yisrael died during Makkas Choshech, and that Chamushim, there's a measure that says Chamushim elu Bnei Yisrael me'eretz Mitzrayim, and some people explain that in the Medrash that it's 1/5 of Bnei Yisrael were left out of Mitzrayim. That's Rashi. And there in the midrashim, the midrash, other Tanoim would say it was 1/50th, 1/500th, 1/5000th, much greater ratios. So the general principle which you have to understand about midrashim, which is that midrashim are usually not meant to be taken literally. Even Rashi brings them down; they're not meant to be taken literally. Rashi doesn't mean them to be literal either, and it doesn't necessarily mean when the Medrash when it says that Bnei Yisrael died during the Makkas Choshech, and even if it says that only 1/5 of them came out, that's to be taken literally. Rather, we know that Bnei Yisrael went through Chamishim Shari Tumah, they got to the 49th level of Tumah, which would go well with the opinion that 1/50th of them came out, because they were so mired in Tumah that very little of their identity as Yidden was left in order to take out of Mitzrayim. Chamushim alu b'nei Yisrael Mitzrayim. You know, in Kabbalah, the neshama has 5 parts: the nefesh, ruach, neshama, chaya, and yechida. How many of you knew that? No, nobody.
What?
5 parts of the neshama.
Yeah, they knew there were a bunch.
They knew there were a bunch. Very good. Okay, it's a start. Okay, nefesh, ruach, neshama, chaya, yechida. In brief, nefesh is the lowest part of the neshama. It animates the physical activities of a person, just like an animal has a nefesh. Ruach animates the speech and the fundamental intellect, which is necessary in order to speak rationally. Neshama is the higher power of intellectual activity. And at the top of the neshama is the power to achieve nevuah. Ruach chaya is the part of the soul, which is it's chiyus, it's pintalayid, as we say. The nekudos hapnimis, which is the essence of Judaism. And Yechida is the unity between the neshamas of Am Yisrael and HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and the neshamas of Am Yisrael with each other. That's, I guess, 3/4 of a Kabbalah in a nutshell. So so you can say that 1/5 of the neshama left Mitzrayim as well. That's an idea that all the 4 lower parts of the neshama were in Tumah, or almost all the 4 lower parts, and only that unity between Am Yisrael and HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the unity between Am Yisrael and each other, that was the 5th which was able to leave Mitzrayim. Okay, and what the Bnei Yisrael, what does it mean? This happened during the Choshech. It's because the Choshech was the ultimate Makkah which brought the Emunah to Am Yisrael. The distinction between Choshech and Or was one in which it was so completely obvious that HaKadosh Baruch Hu was the Or and Mitzrayim was the Choshech. This brought people to be able to have that emunah which they need in order to leave Mitzrayim. So there's a question answered the Rebbe Rabbeinu Parashas. Rebbe Rabbeinu Parashas was one of the great Rebbes of the early 18th century, early 19th century, late 18th, early 19th century. It was the Talmud of the Baal Shem Tov, and Talmud of the Maggid. And he was asked the question. He said that. It's a basic question. The question is, how can we anticipate that Mashiach is going to come in our generation? He was asking this in the early 1800s. After all, there have been much greater generations before us, right? The generations of the Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Shmuel, the generation of the Rambam and the Ramban, Rashi, the Tosfos, the generation of the Baal Shem Tov and the Vilna Gaon, and these are much holier generations. And yet Mashiach didn't come in those generations. We're a bunch of morons, a bunch of idiots, a bunch of coarse, boorish individuals. How can we possibly expect Mashiach to come in our generation? So, girls, what did you ever think about that question? No? Yeah. Did you come up with an answer? Didn't you say yes?
Yeah, but basically, because they could have already deserved it, and we have to do our nostalgia. But they were already great, so we have to build greatness on ourselves so we could deserve it.
Okay, you think we have a chance?
Yeah.
Okay, not bad. So the Rebbe Bunim answered something along those lines, a little bit more, but not bad. The Rebbe Bunim said that even though the dairos are going down, the generations are going down in their level, nevertheless, the nekuda pnimis is getting higher and higher and higher. The nekuda pnimis, the inner spark, the inner point, the inner spark is getting greater. What does he mean by that? So, as you probably realize, the nisyonis which our generation faces are nisyonis which no other generation faced before in history. And the nisyonis which we face are such that anybody from a previous generation would not be able to withstand these nisyonis. The Shlomo Yosef Zevin writes that Am Yisrael is a shiur koima. Am Yisrael is like a body from the beginning of its existence to the end of its existence. The body begins with the head and ends with the heels. The first generation of Matan Torah is called Dor Dea. Dea is in the head. The last generation for Mashiach are called Ikvasad Mashiach, the heels of Mashiach. Says, what's the between the head and the head and the heels? Says the head has a lot of intellect. Most of all the senses are there, but it's very, very sensitive to damage. Not only that, it can't be so well protected because if you cover up everything, your senses won't work properly. The heel is very insensitive to damage. It's pretty thick and it's pretty coarse and it's kind of dumb, but it's very much protected from damage. And especially because you can wear a shoe, and the shoe is going to protect the heel even more. So Rav Zevin says, the Dor Dea, they had a tremendous milas. But on the other hand, if they were exposed to temptation, to Aveira, to sin, it would have been, they had devastating impacts. And that's why in the Midbar, even sins which for us might not even be considered Aveiros. Whatever they said, they remember the meat, the fish, the whatever. For us, that probably wouldn't be considered Aveira at all, but for them, it had a devastating impact because they're very sensitive. For us, so we don't have, that doesn't impact upon us the same way because we are so much coarser and so much more protected. But that's all a part of our nekuda pnimis being more safeguarded and being more effective and being able to maintain us even in the levels of tumah which we find ourselves today. So says the Rebbe Rabbunim, say even though the dairos seem superficially, and it's true, to be each one less than the next, than the previous one, but the nekuda pnimis is such, and it's protected. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu put a very powerful nekuda pnimis within us in order to be able to withstand these yonahs. So therefore, our being able to withstand a nisayon today is something which they would not be able to contemplate hundreds and thousands of years ago. And that is our mila. Our mila is that we're able to maintain that spark because we're given a higher spark, and that spark, together with the fact that we aren't so sensitive, is what keeps us going and makes it possible for us to accomplish the geula in our time. Now, I have to tell you, I think I might have spoken to you once about this, but I can't remember, which is that you don't have to expect the geula to come tomorrow. The geula, or even today. First, today can't come because they have Shabbos. Tomorrow can't come because it's Shabbos. But the point is that the geula, it says in the Animamin, Afo Pishi Yismameh Im Kol Zeh Achake Lo B'chol Yom Shi'avo. Even though it's tarries, I wait for it every day. And they say in Masechet Shabbos that when you get up to Shemayim, they're going to ask you, Tzipisa Yeshua, do you look forward for the geula? But it doesn't mean you have to expect that it's coming today. It means you have to want it and anticipate it and yearn for it. Because obviously, the Aveira for which the Beit HaMikdash was destroyed, which is, we say, Sinas Chinam, is pretty prevalent still today in Am Yisrael. And therefore, me personally, I have difficulty thinking of Mashiach coming anytime soon. Halavai, I'm wrong, of course. But there is so much Sinas Chinam still today among Jews that it's a very big problem. You know, I don't think people realize this. When I say Hashem Yivarech Samo V'Shalom, we say Havarech Samo Yisrael V'Shalom, it doesn't mean peace from our neighbors, peace from our enemies, peace from the people outside of us. That doesn't matter. What matters is that there's a peace among us, that we should be able to get along together, that we should all have the right Yahadus in order to be able to ultimately bring Mashiach. Which leads me to another interesting topic, which is a big difference of opinion, and I'm not coming to tell you who's right. I don't know who's right. And I'm not telling you who's wrong. I don't know who's wrong. But the question, there's a big question fundamentally, and mostly it boils down to the difference between Hasidim and Misnagdim, but not precisely. Why do mitzvahs? Why do we do mitzvahs? So by Hasidim, it's very often understood that we do mitzvahs in order to bring Mashiach. In other words, every mitzvah we do adds another brick to the Beis HaMikdash, and the Beis HaMikdash is being rebuilt by our mitzvah, so we do mitzvahs in order to bring about that result. Misnagdim don't hold that way. Misnagdim, there's a Gemara which says, Shlosha boim dvarim boim behesach hadas. 3 things come when you're distracted, when you're not looking for them. One of them is a lost item. If you lost something, you usually don't find it when you're looking for it. You find it after you stop looking for it. Anybody ever have that experience? Yes? The second experience I bet you haven't had, which is a scorpion. Scorpions don't come when you're looking for them and are aware and attentive to avoid them. Scorpions come and bite you or sting you when you're not prepared for them. Okay? The third thing the Gemara says is Mashiach. Mashiach comes not when you are trying to bring Mashiach, but when you are not thinking of bringing Mashiach. So the question is, what does that mean? Mashiach comes behesach hadas, when you're not looking for Mashiach. So the answer is given that by Yosef Bloch and others, that the Mashiach is something which comes as a byproduct of Torah and Maisim Tovim. Your job is to do Torah and Maisim Tovim to make the world a better place. And then if the world becomes good enough, then Mashiach will come. But that's not for you to focus on. Your focus is on making the world a better place, making you a better person. Then Mashiach is a byproduct of this. I like bringing a mashal for this. There was a very famous Jewish, not religious, psychiatrist named Viktor Frankl. Anybody here ever hear of Viktor Frankl? Your school should assign you to read his masterpiece, Man's Search for Meaning. It's worth it. If the school doesn't assign it, go get it. Go out and get it. It's going to change your lives. It changed mine. So the I don't know if my daughter read it. Mrs. Federgan, did you read the Man's Search for Meaning ever?
Yeah, I read part of it.
Part of it. Okay. The question, he says a very important, profound idea, and this is true for everybody. He says you cannot decide to be happy. If any of you right now said, "Hineni muchanim zuman," I'm now prepared, I'm ready, I'm going to be happy. It doesn't work that way. You can make yourself excited. You can make yourself giddy. You could make yourself frivolous. You can do all sorts of things, but you can't make yourself happy. Why is that? He says, because happiness is not something you can get unless you accomplish something. If you accomplish something, then you can be happy. If you accomplish a good grade, if you accomplish a victory in sports, if you accomplish something in Avodas Hashem, of course, then you can be happy as a result of having accomplished that. Why? Because in order to be happy, one has to have meaning in life. Happiness is equated with feeling a sense of meaning. And therefore, in order to have meaning, you must think of what accomplishments you have. If you have accomplished something, then you can be happy. If you will accomplish something, that will make you happy. But without a relationship, a cross-reference, a link to some sort of accomplishment, there's no such thing as happiness. And we say this in davening every day. We say, Yismach le mevakshe Hashem. Anybody ever say that pasuk? Does anybody know what that pasuk is? In davening. What kind of education are you girls getting?
Good question.
Okay. Do you say Psuki de Zimra? Anybody there say Psuki de Zimra? Yes. Well, in Hodu, there's a pasuk which it says Yismach le mevakshe Hashem. I promise you, if you look in the Siddur in Hodu, you will find it. So the question is, what does this pasuk mean? Yismach le mevakshe Hashem. Well, literally, you translate it, happy are those who look for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So again, the Rebbe Rabbeinu Parashas asks, what do you mean happy are those who look for HaKadosh Baruch Hu? When you're looking for your wallet, when are you happy? When you find your wallet, or when you're looking for it? You're happy when you find your wallet, not when you look for it. What should the pasuk say? It should say Yismach Leiv Motzei Hashem. So say happy are the people who have found HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Why say Yismach Leiv Bevakshei Hashem? It's a good question. And if you have an answer?
You're searching is like a meaningful. It's a meaningful spirit.
Who's saying this? Raise your hand.
I don't know, she might be out of the
Oh,
camera.
she might have the camera. But she said it's good, though. I know she is, but what she said is good. Say it again, louder.
If you're searching for something, it can be a very meaningful experience.
Ah, excellent. That is exactly what the Rebbe Rabbunim says. The Rebbe Rabbunim says that your life is meaningful and makes you happy if you're involved in a meaningful quest. If you're on a journey which is meaningful, if you're on a quest which is important and significant, then you can be happy. That Yismach Le Mevakshei Hashem. Those whose life is a constant bakasha, a constant bikush, they're the people who can be happy in life. When you find in the end, you'll find something, and you certainly will accomplish something. On the other hand, as Chazal say in Pirkei Avos, Lo lecham l'chol ligmor, v'lo ata ben chorin libato mimeno. Right? It's not upon you to finish the work, but you're not free to not do the work. Because in not doing the work, you won't get any meaning. Whatever meaning you get in life, you're going to get by constantly questing, by constantly being in that state of bikush, in that state of questing for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So, getting back to the Makkah of Choshech in our Parsha. So, the Bnei Yisrael, I think when it says L'chol Bnei Yisrael ha'or b'moshvoisam, I think we can give that a little of a drush spin, that Bnei Yisrael saw that there was light in their communities. Moshava is an interesting word to use. Moshava means a community of Jews anywhere in the world. We learn out that Shabbos applies throughout the world because it says Lo Savaru Eish B'chol Moshvo Seichem B'Yom HaShabbos. B'chol Moshvo Seichem means everywhere in the world you have to keep Shabbos. So Moshavos means wherever Jews are settled, there is or. What is that or? That or primarily is an or of the nekudos, the nekuda pnimis within a person. But that's a very important byproduct of that. A ramification of that is that you have that nekuda pnimis of or, then you have to spread that or. And that's why Yeshaya Novi says that Bnei Yisrael's mission in this world is to be an or lagoyim, to take that light which we have and use it to illuminate the Choshech, and use it to bring light into the world. So therefore, what we're saying is we do have nekuda pnimis. Our purpose is that makes us very holy, even holier in a certain sense than previous generations. And our job is to use that for our lifelong quest, for our lifelong bikush of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And we should all be zoichet to be the or lagoyim in whatever way. There are many ways to do it. We should all be zoichet to find a way to be an or lagoyim, an or to Am Yisrael, and an or to the rest of the world where we find ourselves. And that way, whether it's direct, because we have in mind to do mitzvahs to bring Mashiach, whether it's indirect, because we do mitzvahs to make the world a better world, and therefore, Mimela, at some point Mashiach will come, we should Zoiche, Lebias Mashiach Tzidkenu, B'mher V'yameinu Amen. Have a great Shabbos.